Welcome to my channel, Old Coins History 333. In this video, I tell you about the United States of America Roosevelt 1 dime, which are most valuable and rare. If you interested, please subscribe my channel. Thanks. Top 1. In the world of numismatics, some coins stand out not just for their rarity, but also for the stories they carry. One such coin is the Roosevelt dime from 1980, a small piece of history that carries significant value, even though it's often overlooked in the everyday flow of pocket change. When we talk about valuable coins, people tend to think of gold or silver pieces, or perhaps limited edition currency, but today we're diving into the fascinating world of the Roosevelt dime, focusing specifically on the 1980 issue. It's hard to imagine that a coin as small and unassuming as a dime could carry with it such an intriguing backstory. After all, dimes have been circulating in the United States since 1796. They've changed designs over time, each new one reflecting the social, political, and economic climate of the period. The 1980 Roosevelt dime, however, was particularly special, not for being vastly different from the dimes that came before it, but for its connection to the man it was named after, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and the era it was minted during. To understand the significance of the 1980 Roosevelt dime, it's important to know the coin's history. Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, is remembered for his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II. But what many don't know is that Roosevelt was also instrumental in founding the March of Dimes, a charity dedicated to fighting polio, a disease that plagued many Americans during his presidency. Roosevelt himself was diagnosed with polio in 1921, and his struggle with the disease made him a symbol of resilience and hope to the American public. When he passed away in 1945, it was only fitting that a coin should be minted to honor his legacy. The Roosevelt dime debuted in 1946, just a year after Roosevelt's death, and it replaced the previously circulating Mercury dime. Designed by artist John R. Sinnock, the coin featured a portrait of Roosevelt on the obverse and a simple, symbolic olive branch on the reverse. The design was meant to evoke the president's enduring spirit of peace and prosperity. For more than 3 decades, the Roosevelt dime would remain a staple of American currency, with only small modifications over time. However, as with all forms of currency, changes in minting technology, the economy, and the design philosophy would occasionally influence the look of these dimes. When we arrive at 1980, the Roosevelt dime had already undergone minor adjustments in both the minting process and the metal composition used. Initially, dimes were made from 90% silver, but by 1965, the U.S. Mint switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition, which was much cheaper to produce. As the years went by, the minting of coins became increasingly refined, and the 1980 Roosevelt dime was produced with precision and quality in mind. The 1980 Roosevelt dime is typically not a rare coin in terms of circulation numbers. Millions of these coins were minted and spent over the years, and finding one in circulation today is not an uncommon experience. However, there's a special quality to these dimes, especially when you delve into the world of coin collecting and numismatics. The fact that so many of these dimes were minted means that collectors are often looking for well-preserved examples that show little to no wear. This is especially true for coins that come from specific years that hold historical importance. What makes the 1980 Roosevelt dime stand out? One of the key elements that makes certain coins valuable is their condition, and when it comes to the 1980 Roosevelt dime, some examples are rare in pristine, uncirculated condition. Over the years, coins that have been stored carefully or never used in circulation can fetch a premium. Additionally, there are certain varieties or anomalies that make these dimes even more interesting to collectors. For instance, if a dime from 1980 has been struck off-center or features a double die error, it could be worth far more than its face value. But here's where things get even more intriguing. In the world of rare coins, condition is everything. A 1980 Roosevelt dime in perfect, uncirculated condition could be worth hundreds of dollars to the right collector. But what about the truly rare specimens? These are the coins that were minted with an error, or those that were part of special, limited runs. For some of these coins, especially those that have been graded as a mess, mint state, 67 or higher, their value can skyrocket. At this point, you might be asking, how much is a 1980 Roosevelt dime really worth? It's a great question, and the answer can be surprising. While most 1980 dimes are worth just 10 cents, even in excellent condition, There are certain specimens that have been known to sell for extraordinary prices. In fact, an error coin or a well-preserved dime from 1980 can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Imagine finding a 1980 Roosevelt dime in a collection or at a garage sale and discovering that it could be worth as much as $55,000. That's right, a 1980 Roosevelt dime can be worth $55,000, but only under specific circumstances. This kind of value is usually reserved for dimes that were struck with particular flaws or errors, or for those that have been perfectly preserved in the highest possible grade. Coins like these are highly sought after by collectors who are willing to pay top dollar for a rare and flawless example of numismatic history. A dime that has been preserved for decades in mint condition, with no signs of wear or oxidation, can easily fetch these eye-popping prices at auction. The appeal of the Roosevelt dime, particularly the 1980 edition, lies in its simplicity and connection to American history. Despite its small size and the fact that it's not one of the most well-known coins, there's a special place in the hearts of collectors for coins like the 1980 Roosevelt dime. Its value, while not immediately obvious to the casual observer, becomes clear when we consider the rarity of certain specimens and the demand for these pieces of history. So, how do you know if your 1980 Roosevelt dime is worth $55,000? It all comes down to a few key factors: the condition of the coin, any potential errors or variations, and of course, the coin's provenance, its history of ownership, and how it was cared for. Coins that have been kept in a climate-controlled environment, away from the wear and tear of everyday life, have a far better chance of being worth something more significant than their face value. To get a sense of the coin's true value, it's always a good idea to consult with a professional coin grader or appraiser who can assess the condition and authenticity of the coin. As we wrap up, it's incredible to think that a simple dime, a coin many of us barely give a second thought to, can hold such remarkable value. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just someone fascinated by the world of numismatics, the 1980 Roosevelt dime serves as a reminder of how even the most seemingly insignificant items can carry a piece of history, and sometimes a hefty price tag. So, the next time you come across a dime from 1980, take a moment to look closely. It might just be a small treasure waiting to be discovered. The Roosevelt dime, with its rich history and enduring legacy, continues to fascinate collectors around the world. What started as a tribute to a beloved president has turned into a sought-after collectible, with some examples fetching astronomical prices. The 1980 Roosevelt dime is proof that sometimes the smallest coins can hold the greatest value. So, if you're lucky enough to find one of these dimes in your collection, remember, you might just be holding onto a small piece of history, worth more than you ever imagined. Top 2. The Roosevelt dime from 1983 is one of those coins. On the surface, it may seem like just another piece of pocket change, but dive deeper, and you'll uncover a treasure trove of history, design, minting details, and an incredible collector appeal that has made this particular dime worth far more than its initial face value. Let's begin by understanding the historical significance behind the Roosevelt dime series as a whole. The dime, worth just 10 cents, has been part of American currency for over 2 centuries. Since its debut in 1796, the dime has undergone multiple redesigns, each reflecting the cultural and political climate of its time. The 1983 Roosevelt dime is part of a series that's both beloved and widely circulated across the United States. But while it may seem like a typical dime, there's much more beneath the surface. To truly appreciate the 1983 Roosevelt dime, we need to go back to the origins of this coin. In 1945, after the passing of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the United States decided to honor his legacy by putting his likeness on the dime. Roosevelt, the 32nd president, had led the country through the Great Depression and World War II, and his contributions to the nation were immeasurable. Roosevelt's leadership and his work founding the March of Dimes, a charity aimed at combating polio, made him a fitting figure to represent the coin. The first Roosevelt dime was minted in 1946, just a year after Roosevelt's death, and it was designed by John R. Sinek. Sinek's design was simple but powerful. Roosevelt's portrait graced the obverse, while the reverse depicted a torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. The design was chosen not only for its elegance, but also for its symbolic reflection of the enduring values Roosevelt had stood for. For decades, the Roosevelt dime was a staple of U.S. currency, circulated in massive quantities without much fanfare. Fast forward to 1983, and the Roosevelt dime had become a well-established feature of American coinage. The minting of the 1983 Roosevelt dime didn't mark any major design changes. However, it did represent an era of transition for American currency. The U.S. Mint had already moved away from using silver in most coinage by the early 1960s, and by 1983, the dime was composed of a copper-nickel-clad material, which was significantly less expensive to produce than silver. While this made minting dimes more affordable, it also meant that these coins were no longer as precious as earlier versions. But still, the coin retained its place in American currency, continuing to circulate as an essential part of daily transactions. In 1983, the United States Mint produced both Philadelphia and Denver mint marks of the Roosevelt dime. It's important to note that, generally, coins minted in these years are not particularly rare. The 1983 dimes, just like other dimes of the era, were produced in the millions, over 3 billion of them, in fact. With such a large number of coins circulating, you might think that a 1983 Roosevelt dime would hold little value beyond its face value of 10 cents. But just like in the world of rare collectibles, there's always more than meets the EYE.SO. What makes a 1983 Roosevelt dime valuable? The key to understanding its worth lies in the specifics of the coin's condition, its minting anomalies, and its collector appeal. Let's talk about condition first. Coins that have been stored in pristine condition, away from wear and tear, are always more valuable. A typical 1983 Roosevelt dime in good condition might be worth just 10 cents, but one that has been kept in uncirculated condition, showing no signs of use, can fetch a higher price. This is especially true when we talk about coins that have been graded as mint state, meaning they are in perfect condition with no visible flaws. Now, let's turn our attention to another aspect that might elevate the value of the 1983 Roosevelt dime: errors. In the world of coin collecting, error coins are often considered some of the most exciting and valuable finds. Error coins occur when there's a flaw during the minting process, something that goes wrong during the striking of the coin, resulting in unique characteristics that can make the coin incredibly rare. For the 1983 Roosevelt dime, error coins might include things like misaligned dies, double strikes, or off-center strikes. These imperfections can drastically increase the coin's value. As collectors are always on the lookout for such rare variations, in particular, the 1983 Roosevelt dime is known for a few key errors that have drawn the attention of collectors. For instance, some dimes from this year were struck with a double die error, meaning the image of Roosevelt and other elements on the coin appear twice. These coins are rare and highly sought after because they offer a glimpse into the minting process and stand out from the mass-produced dimes that flooded the market. Coins that display these unique characteristics can sell for hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars, depending on their condition and rarity. But here's where things get truly interesting. A pristine, uncirculated 1983 Roosevelt dime with no errors could still be worth far more than its original 10-cent face value. Coins that have been certified and graded by professional services like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, are highly valued by collectors. If a 1983 Roosevelt dime is graded at a high level, say, an MS 67 or higher, it can fetch much more than what you might expect. In fact, a perfectly preserved 1983 Roosevelt dime could easily be worth hundreds of dollars, even without any minting errors. But the rarest of the rare, the error coins in top condition, could be worth even more. It's here, in the world of error coins and perfectly preserved examples, that the value of the 1983 Roosevelt dime truly comes to life. The market for rare coins has exploded in recent years, with collectors and investors alike willing to pay top dollar for coins that possess historical significance, unique characteristics, or simply remain in the best possible condition. As the demand for high-quality, rare coins increases, so does the value of these seemingly simple pieces of currency. But let's talk numbers. You might be wondering just how much a 1983 Roosevelt dime could be worth today. Most of these coins will still only fetch 10 cents. But for certain rare and pristine examples, particularly those that have been graded as MS 67 or higher, or those that exhibit notable minting errors, the value can soar. As of now, A 1983 Roosevelt dime in perfect, error-free condition could be worth anywhere between $100 to $1,000, depending on market conditions and the specific traits of the coin. But that's just the beginning. The true highlight for any collector comes when a coin from this era is particularly well-preserved and has an error that increases its rarity. For example, a 1983 Roosevelt dime with an off-center strike or a double die error, graded in mint condition, can fetch upwards of $55,000 at auction. Yes, you heard that right, $55,000 for a 1983 Roosevelt dime. When you consider that these coins were originally minted as low-value, everyday currency, the concept of them reaching such astronomical prices is nothing short of astounding. Now, let's reflect on the significance of this. The 1983 Roosevelt dime is a perfect example of how a seemingly ordinary coin can turn into an extraordinary collector's item. It shows us that in the world of numismatics, rarity, condition, and even small imperfections can dramatically increase the value of a coin. It's a reminder that value isn't always about the face value stamped on a coin. Sometimes, it's about the story the coin tells and the history it carries with it. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just someone intrigued by the world of rare coins, the 1983 Roosevelt dime serves as a fascinating example of how a humble dime can be far more than just pocket change. The next time you hold a 1983 Roosevelt dime in your hand, remember, you might just be holding a small piece of history, one that could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Keep an eye out for those rare errors and pristine specimens, because in the world of coin collecting, treasures often come in the smallest packages, and who knows? You might just find yourself sitting on a small fortune, all thanks to the humble 1983 Roosevelt dime. Top 3. In the world of coin collecting, some pieces manage to capture both the imagination and the interest of collectors, even if they don't initially appear all that remarkable. The 1984 Roosevelt dime is one such coin. While it may seem like just another dime in circulation, beneath its unassuming surface lies a story filled with history, design, and a surprising collector value. This coin, minted in 1984, carries a wealth of meaning and a connection to an era, and for those who understand the nuances of the numismatic world, it can even be worth tens of thousands of dollars. To truly appreciate the 1984 Roosevelt dime, we need to understand the history of the coin series itself, which dates back to 1946. The Roosevelt dime was introduced shortly after the death of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt had passed away in 1945 after leading the country through both the Great Depression and World War II. His leadership and legacy, including his efforts in founding the March of Dimes, a foundation dedicated to fighting polio, made him a national hero. His portrait was chosen for the dime to honor both his life and his contributions to the American people. The Roosevelt dime, designed by John R. Sinek, debuted in 1946, replacing the Mercury dime that had been in circulation since 1916. Roosevelt's portrait was featured on the obverse, while the reverse depicted a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. These simple yet powerful symbols were meant to reflect the president's ideals and the country's enduring values. For nearly 4 decades, this design remained largely unchanged, becoming a recognizable and enduring symbol of American coinage. By the time we reach 1984, the Roosevelt dime had become a mainstay of U.S. currency. The United States Mint had moved away from using silver in coins by the early 1960s, and by 1984, the dimes were made of a copper-nickel-clad composition. These coins were far cheaper to produce than their silver predecessors, and millions were minted each year to meet the demand for everyday transactions. The 1984 dimes were no different in their composition, but they still carried the same symbolic design that had made the coin iconic. In 1984, the U.S. Mint struck millions of Roosevelt dimes at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with a combined total of over 3 billion coins produced. For most collectors and coin enthusiasts, these dimes would be considered relatively common, as they were minted in such large numbers. However, even in the midst of such mass production, some coins stand out. These are the coins that have been kept in pristine condition or feature unique characteristics, such as minting errors, which can dramatically increase their value. And it is in these rare instances where a 1984 Roosevelt dime can become far more than just a simple 10-cent piece. One of the key factors in determining the value of a 1984 Roosevelt dime is its condition. Coins that are uncirculated, meaning they've never been used in daily transactions and show no signs of wear, are always more valuable than coins that have been spent. An uncirculated 1984 Roosevelt dime, in perfect condition, can fetch a higher price simply because it has been preserved carefully over the years. A coin's grade, which is assigned based on its physical state, can have a significant impact on its value. Coins that are graded as MS, mint state, 67 or higher are considered exceptional and can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on other factors. But the true allure of rare coins like the 1984 Roosevelt dime often lies in the potential for minting errors. Error coins are a fascinating aspect of numismatics, and they can make an otherwise ordinary coin into a highly coveted collectible. In the case of the 1984 Roosevelt dime, there are a few specific errors that make it stand out. Some 1984 dimes were struck with off-center dies, causing the design to appear misaligned or incomplete. Other dimes from this year feature doubled strikes, where the image of Roosevelt or other design elements appear more than once on the coin. These error coins are extremely rare and highly prized by collectors who actively seek out such anomalies. To truly understand the value of a 1984 Roosevelt dime, we need to consider how error coins can affect the market. A dime from this year with a noticeable minting error, such as a double strike or an off-center die, could easily be worth thousands of dollars to the right buyer. These errors create a sense of rarity, as they represent coins that were accidentally produced during the minting process and didn't meet the usual standards. As a result, error coins often fetch high prices at auction, sometimes going for more than the face value of the coin by orders of magnitude. Now, let's turn to the most exciting part of the story: the potential for a 1984 Roosevelt dime to be worth tens of thousands of dollars. While most dimes from this year are still worth just 10 cents in average condition, rare, high-grade specimens, especially those with errors, can be worth substantially more. In fact, depending on the specific characteristics of the coin, a 1984 Roosevelt dime could be worth as much as $50,000 or more at auction. Yes, $50,000 for a dime that was originally minted to circulate as a mere 10-cent coin. This may sound unbelievable, but in the world of coin collecting, it's a reality. The value of rare coins, especially those with errors or unique features, can skyrocket due to high demand from collectors who are eager to add rare pieces to their collections. This can lead to competitive bidding at auctions, which in turn drives up the price of the coin. A well-preserved 1984 Roosevelt dime with an off-center strike, graded at a high mint state, could easily reach a value of $50,000 or even more. The rarity of the coin, combined with the interest in it from collectors, results in prices that far exceed its original face value. But how do you know if your 1984 Roosevelt dime is worth such an extraordinary sum? The answer lies in its condition, rarity, and any potential minting errors it may possess. Coins that have been preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition are always more valuable than those that have been used in everyday transactions. Additionally, coins that feature rare errors, such as double dies or off-center strikes, are highly desirable to collectors and can fetch high prices. To get an accurate valuation of your coin, it's essential to have it graded by a professional coin grading service like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS. These organizations can assess the coin's condition and certify its grade, providing an authoritative evaluation that will help you understand its true market value. Of course, just because a coin is rare or in excellent condition doesn't guarantee it will fetch top dollar. The coin market can fluctuate, and values can rise and fall based on demand and trends in numismatics. However, the 1984 Roosevelt dime, particularly those with unique errors or in exceptional condition, remains a sought-after piece in the world of coin collecting. It's an example of how a seemingly ordinary coin, one that many people might overlook as just another dime in their pocket, can carry incredible value in the right circumstances. As we wrap up, it's clear that the 1984 Roosevelt dime is far more than just a 10-cent coin. While it may have been minted in the millions, rare specimens in top condition or with minting errors are highly prized by collectors. The value of a 1984 Roosevelt dime can reach staggering heights, with certain examples commanding prices as high as $50,000. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a casual enthusiast, the world of numismatics offers an exciting opportunity to discover hidden treasures in the most unexpected places. The next time you come across a 1984 Roosevelt dime, take a moment to examine it carefully. It could very well be the key to unlocking a valuable piece of history, one that could be worth far more than you ever imagined. The Roosevelt dime, with its rich legacy and enduring design, remains one of the most beloved and collectible coins in American history. And as we've seen, sometimes the most ordinary coins can surprise us with extraordinary value.